Hey everyone, even though I've been sewing for a long time, I'm still a little bit self-conscious about a few things that comes to my own sewing. And to be honest, I think this might have increased due to all the sewing social medias out there. Because the game of comparison, well, it is real. So in today's video, I want to address 5 things that I am self-conscious about when it comes to my sewing. And the first thing I'm self-conscious about is the fact that I think I'm quite slow when it comes to sewing. And I guess it's not really a problem, and one of the reasons I think that I've become slow in the last few years is that I've been really mindful about, avoiding mistakes and improving my techniques, and I find that I need to go really slow when it comes to that, just to be sure that I achieve the sort of results that I want. However, when I look into, say for instance, Instagram, and in my head at least, it looks like people are, cutting out pieces for a pair of trousers one day, and once the weekend is over, they've done a wonderful, well-finished pair of trousers. And to be honest, if I should do a pair of trousers, that's a project that will literally take me several weekends of a lot of hard, very focused work. However, I just don't seem to be able to crack that code, so that's definitely one of those things that I'm self-conscious about. Another thing I'm self-conscious about is that, which is totally stupid when I think about it, so I feel stupid about even saying it, is that if my stitching looks wonky on the inside, that always makes me self-conscious. But it's obviously a very irrational feeling because no one will see those wonky finishing. And to be honest, once I've done sewing, I don't even think about those myself. But during the actual sewing process, I can really get bogged down about things that doesn't look good on the inside. And I'm definitely one of those person that always change threads to make sure that the threads on the inside matches the color of the fabric, even though it's not really well spent time, especially if you do a lot of serger things or overlock things, because smart people use perhaps gray and other blending threads in the looper just to make sure that they don't have to switch all the threads every time. But I'm one of those persons that get kind of, it doesn't really feel right if I'm, for instance, making a blue top and the looper thread on the insides are grey. I'm definitely one of those people that want them to match, even though obviously it won't be visible on the outside. So I definitely have something of a hang up when it comes to the insides of my garment. So totally irrational, but it's definitely one of those things I'm self-conscious about. And the third thing that I'm kind of self-conscious about is that I feel that it has taken me so long to develop my sewing skills to a level where I'm happy with them. And because when I watch people that perhaps start sewing for maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years ago, and in my eyes, at least judging from the photos I see, they make clothes that look just as well as mine, and sometimes even better. And I'm like, how can you be this good after 3 years that has taken me like 30 years to achieve? And then I again feel a little bit, is this something I'm doing wrong? I would say though that I do think that, today with all the sewing information available, you can definitely shorten your learning curve compared to when I and a lot of other people who began sewing many decades ago, that perhaps we didn't have all the information available to us. In my case, it was just, a couple of old sewing books in the library. That was about the information I could get my hands on back in the 80s. And obviously today you can get so much information from various different channels. So obviously, and it's quite reasonable when I think about it, people will become quicker on improving skills than when I was young, but still I do feel self-conscious about the fact that I do seem to take a lot more time to learn skills than what I feel some other more newer sewers have. Again, I could be wrong, but it's definitely something I feel a bit self-conscious about. And the fourth thing I'm self-conscious about is the fact that I teach a lot of sewing techniques on my blog. I have over 100 tutorials. I have done lots of videos showing various techniques, and I've also written a book about sewing activewear. So obviously I'm putting myself out there and teaching you a lot of different stuff, and that is all good as well. But I also sometimes feel a little bit self-conscious about, am I teaching something, a technique that isn't optimal or isn't top-notch? That said, I also think it's important to say that my personal experience is that there are no one exact thing that is absolutely 100% the correct way and all other ways are wrong. I think there are lots of different ways to achieve similar results, And it's also important that I think for us sewists that we need to find a method that works with our skill level, our preference, and all those things. That's also one of the reasons why in my book I show several different techniques usually to achieve the same result, because I know we all have different ways. And the final thing that I'm self-conscious about is definitely something that I think have increased with the vast information that is available out there these days, and that is, do I have some glaring fit issue that I'm unaware of? Now you can obviously have, there are so many alterations that are available to us, and sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming. I've definitely learned a lot about achieving good fit, and I do have some alterations that I'm really happy about, but there's sometimes this nagging feeling, am I missing some obvious thing that I should know about and should do? And I think perhaps in today's sewing society, have we become a little bit overcritical about, fit issues? So basically people are putting out their, very sharp glasses looking for tiny, tiny, tiny little flaws, like perhaps a fold around the bust when you're making a knit top, for instance, which is pretty much unavoidable if you don't add dots, and a lot of other things. And I've definitely suffered from this myself, especially when I make trousers, because that's when I get into my head that there is actually a way to achieve perfectly fitting trousers, which I do think doesn't really exist, but it's definitely something I can get carried away, and it does take away a little bit of the fun for me, because I get so tied up in avoiding every little wrinkle possible, and I don't think that is healthy. It's really good to understand your body, but I don't think it's healthy to look at your own mates with an overly critical eye. To be honest, just you moving around will change how the garment look on your body, and fabric will expand during wear and all these things. So I definitely want to give both myself and you guys a pep talk that don't get too obsessed about fitting, but I definitely am very familiar with the feeling about being self-conscious about that. So these are 5 things that I'm self-conscious about when it comes to sewing. I'm curious if you also have things like this, when you feel like, maybe I should be more like this, or maybe I should do like that. And I totally understand that, as I said, even though I try to be like mindful and confident, it's still so easy to get caught up in those negative thoughts. So I will definitely hear from you as well what your thoughts about the things that I've addressed today and other topics as well. And also, do you think the fact that we share so much online now of our sewing, if that has actually made it a little bit worse about our own self-consciousness about what we do? So I would love to hear your thoughts about that. I think it's really an interesting topic that it's important to address, because I always am a big believer in, if you speak about things, it does get more easy to process. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Stitch safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!